Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Mia, and I coach single mothers in their business, in their growth, in their mindset, and I help them to thrive in their business and in life. And so this video is by special request. I was on a live the other day of a fellow YouTuber. Her name is Alicia Motley, and she was speaking about witchcraft and curses and all of these spiritual type of things. And so I was in there and I was just, when you chat while the person is talking. And I guess someone read what I wrote and they were asking me questions. And I said, you know what, I'll make a video about it. So this is that video. And it might be a little lengthy, I don't know, but I want to get it all out. So it's important to go back. So I was introduced to spiritual practices of like the candles and all of that back in 2020. And my introduction into it was I got a gift box from a particular business, I'll say, by two women, two mothers. And they sent out a gift box, and in that gift box, it contained products from a certain type of shop. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. So I looked up the shop, and the shop was a metaphysical shop, and it had all these different types of things: tarot, crystals, candles, just all of that, all that type of paraphernalia. And so I was like, oh, this is dope. And so it was in my city. So I went to it, and that's where like this whole array of candles were. And I was like, oh, yes. And so each candle had a purpose, right? And so I started buying candles. So that was my introduction into this whole world. Now that's important because during my entire journey, I would always hear, it won't work on you if you don't believe it. It won't work on you if you don't believe it, if you don't practice it, if you don't give it energy, it's not going to work, right? And so it never clicked to me on my journey, but I want to point that out because that's important. And so in my curiosity, I started, of course, going on YouTube and looking it up and looking it up and looking it up. And I came across a particular girl. She's very well known. She has quite a few subscribers, quite a lot. She does tarot, channeling, energy, all of that type of thing. And so she had all of this content for years. And so I just was in it. And that really was my hook. So the box and the gift was the intro, but this one particular girl was my hook. I was like, oh, bet, like, And so, you look at the subscriber count, you look at the knowledge of what she had or what she was speaking about, and you're like, okay, well, she must have some knowledge, like this stuff must work, all of that. And so I bought candles from her. I bought oils, all that type of thing. And I started diving in deeper. And then at the time, I was a part of a friend group who we all started to really dive into that. So there was a support system there to keep me going. Okay. So fast forward. Well, before that, I started to like write the petitions and get the paper and the Sharpie. Like I was in it. Okay. And because I don't want anybody to say, well, she just dabbled. No, honey, I was buying stuff on a daily basis. Okay. Because I found it to be very fascinating. It was a new world. I love to learn. And so I was like, bet, and I can like manifest my own life. Oh yeah, let's go. Right. So fast forward, and I had an acquaintance, a friend at the time, who I let in my home. And at the time, like I say, she was my friend, no question, right? We'd known each other for years. Didn't think anything of it. Let her in my home. We hung out, we laughed, we chilled, traveled, whatever. And then she left. And then 2 weeks after she left, I was let go, right? So at this point, I'm not putting two and two together. But one particular moment while they were in my house, you know how sometimes when you have certain levels of discernment, or you can feel energy, you're an empath, whatever the case may be, certain times you can look at a person and you can just feel their energy. They don't have to say nothing. They don't even have to be looking at you. They don't even have to know you're looking at them, right? And sometimes it's like if this person is sitting and you walk by and passing, you just kind of glance, right? And so in that occurrence, something in me, and to this day, it registered, and I didn't pay attention to it. And it registered, and it was like, it's something dark there, right? But I didn't pay it any mind. I was just like, okay, whatever. And so I was let go. And then that started the whole spiral. That started the whole spiral. And I don't know if it was my own doing or the doing of another person or both, right? Because when you have all that energy together in one spot, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That was in the middle of the year. And then I moved into August, got COVID. That was, baby, I don't know what that was. All right. So I ended up getting COVID. And then the very next month was the worst month of my life. The absolute worst month of my life. To the point where I know it was witchcraft, because I was doing an exercise and I sprained something or pulled something, right? And it should have just been that. It developed into me wanting to amputate my leg because the pain was so excruciating. And mind you, my birth was not easy. Like, giving birth to my child was the farthest thing from easy ever, physically, mentally, all that. But this leg pain was something I had, something I had never experienced. And why I know it was witchcraft is because while it was going on, now mind you, there are certain things that I do in my house, right? I have the singing bowls, so I like to do that. I have certain color lights I like to turn on because I like that. There's certain things, and all of these things were things that I did when this person was in my house. When they left, I didn't do any of them. I didn't want to do everything that I did when they were here. I didn't do it at all once they left. And so, when my leg was hurting, there were multiple flies in my house. Multiple, like horse flies, like gnats, flies in my room, in the kitchen, in the living. I'm like, hold on. Okay, because there's no trash in here. There's no old food somewhere. I've been here for a while and I've never had flies. What is it? Like, I was killing the flies, spraying awesome, like flies just automatically appeared, right? And at this point, I didn't know about the monitoring spirits, how they functioned. I also was experiencing paranormal activity. I also was experiencing getting woken up out of my dreams because something was taking place that shouldn't have been taking place. And my protectors, my angels, God was, look, wake up. I was experiencing like legit taps on my window. Like, I know it ain't nobody else. Hi, what is this tapping? Like, I was experiencing something hitting the wall. I was experiencing hearing things, like legit hearing things, guys. Like this, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating any of this. I'm not crazy. I'm very well wrapped. And all of this was going on in a very small amount of time, right? mind you, during this time, I have become so deeply involved in the practices of things. I can't tell you how many decks of tarot cards I had. My whole desk was tarot cards, right? I was constantly watching tarot on YouTube, constantly. Like it was not healthy, right? I met a dark night phase where I was questioning everything. The spirit of suicide was on me for a smooth. I thought about that at least 4 times in a 6-week period, where I had never in my life, had like, what? So I had gotten to the point where I didn't recognize myself mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I was like, what is this, right? And I tell you, that pain, that leg pain, I'm telling you, if somebody would have had a knife, I would go to work, get this. I had never, like when we watch movies and the actors, I always think of war movies, and the actors are portraying the type of pain, like it was 10 times that. It's like, I feel like I was in war and somebody had just shot me and just left me. It was the most excruciating place on all levels. And I know what it was now because of the signs, right? The monitoring spirits. And what was coming to me was someone is really watching me and trying to figure out how I have what I have. How does she have all this? What's she doing? Right? Not understanding that where I am now was given to me by God, straight up. If I told you the story of how I got where I am in my place, right? That wasn't me, that was God. But people take it upon themselves to try to figure you out or figure out your road or figure out your journey. And they also want to look into your future because that also is a thing. And I got confirmation during this time. Like I say, I was heavy in tarot. So I was getting tarot readings. And I got confirmation during this time that, oh, somebody's definitely on you. Somebody's on your head. Somebody's watching your money. They watching your path. They watching your future. They are on you. They trying to figure you out all at the same time, where I'm excruciating leg pain. I got flies from here to there. I got voices in my head, stuff knocking on my window. I mean, and this was all in 1 month. There were blessings that came out of it because that's just how God works. I was forced into resting for a full week at a family member's house who I had kind of a severed relationship with, and it allowed us to engage, which was beautiful. But it was definitely a turning point, and it made me realize, like, and even out of it, I created an ebook, I created like a web, I created all of these things in that dark place, which I don't even sell anymore. Like if you go back and watch videos, I would talk about my book and all these, I don't even sell those anymore because it clicked to me like, you don't want to give that energy out because the energy where that came from was such a dark place. Now I was getting worked on witchcraft. I was under witchcraft energy, but because I had engaged in it, right? I had accepted it. So when I was in the chat and people were like, well, it makes me want to learn about it so I was like, nah, right? And coming out of it, I started praying to God, like, God, just tell me what I need to do to get up out of this, because this ain't it. This ain't it. And I had to repent so many times and apologize and just beg. It felt like begging for forgiveness for going away from God, because essentially that's what you're doing. You're trying to take your own destiny into your hands of your own understanding, not understanding that God has a purpose for your life to be used by you, through you. And by you trying to manifest your own will and your own life, how you think everything is supposed to pan out for you, you are going opposite of that. So that's how you're going away from God. That's how you're ignoring God and thinking you're better than him. You're rebelling. Well, how did Satan get cast down? He rebelled. So how are you any different? And then you're being used by him. And every time that I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even walk. My child was like I couldn't do anything. And the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm like, Satan gotta be laughing. Like somebody has to be getting joy out of this. And that made me furious even more, right? So by you thinking, okay, I'm about to manifest this, I'm about to manifest this, and like, now don't get me wrong, you do have to work with God. You have to, but every decision that I've made on my own without consulting God first has turned into trash. That includes buying a home. That includes a relationship. That includes engaging with men who, right? We don't wait on confirmation. We don't wait on God to speak through somebody and say, boom. Because the prayers that you do in silent by yourself, it's only you and God. Now, keep in mind, the enemy does hear you when you talk to God. That's a fact. But it's up to you and your discernment and your fasting and whatever ways that you connect with God, dreams, okay? But it's important that you be very specific when you pray to God, because when it shows up, you're going to know if it's him or not. If you pray for something that you want, something that's green, right? And you get the thing, but it's purple. No, this ain't God, because I said green, right? You have to be very clear, right? But so the sacrifice that I had to give, begging for forgiveness, I had to throw away every single item that I purchased during that stint of rebellion. And when I tell you, and this is all honesty, I had gotten so attached to some of these decks of cards. Some of these cards were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The artwork on them, beautiful. The colors, I mean, some of these decks were aesthetically absolutely beautiful. Some of these decks were $65. Some of these decks were $75, right? That's one deck. I had minimum 25 decks, minimum. So you imagine, I had decks, I had candles, I had oils, I had incense, I had powders, I had washes, I had it. What you need? What you need? I got it. I had paper, I also want to point this out. And I think this is I got to the big daddy of the big daddies when I patronized, gosh, I do not remember her name, but she has a show and she has a big warehouse. I think she's in Georgia. It's a Black woman, Lala, the big daddy of the big daddies. And I patronized one of her candles. And I think that was like, oh, she really want to go in. And that was the peak of God being like, okay, you've done enough. You've done enough. Well, I've let you go long enough. You've played long enough. Because you starting to really trip right now. And that's just my honest opinion. You know, everybody does what they're gonna do. More power. But what didn't work for me was continuing on that path, because you have to realize when you're called, the enemy is going to use whatever they can to get you so far away from being on the path that God wants you to be on. And I know this sounds preachy because the language, but I want you to look beyond the language that I'm using with the path and you know what I mean? Because you think about it, if you don't want somebody to succeed in an area, you're going to do anything that you can to distract them. These candles and these practices and all that, that was a big distraction. It took up 8 months. 8 months? Bruh, 8 months? You ask a brand new mother about 8 months. That's a long, it's a short time, but it's also a long time. That's majority of the first life of your child's life, right? So many things happen. So many things happen in 8 months. 8 months. And I don't want to say it was taken away from me, because it wasn't, because there's multiple testimonies out of that 8 months, but that was time I could have been spending on purpose, right? And it was necessary, because now this is life. This is where I come from when I'm coaching people. This is where I'm come from when I hear a young woman say, well, I'm in this and that. Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you about my story, right? So now I have a story for them to reference. I didn't have a story and nobody to reference when I was on YouTube. I just had the person in my face giving me all this game and all these tactics and of manifesting my own life. I don't want, that's above my pay grade, honestly. Like, when you think about it, to design a full life to the fullest expression of itself, wanting to help and serve other people, and you want to fully design that to where you have to strategize and pull in other people to help, and like, that is above my pay grade. I don't even want it. And we don't look at it like that when we're stepping. We just look at, oh, I need a new car. I want a new house. I want a man, right? I want a child. And so we try to take it into our own hands, not knowing you want this one little thing. But let me tell you something. There's a lot of things connected to this that you're not even paying attention to. Right. And so, and the kicker for me, I didn't mention this, was I ended up doing Reiki. I had never done Reiki before. And I know there are views on Reiki, what have you, but I went 2 times. And the second time that I went, I did 2 cord cutting Reiki sessions, because cord cutting is real big in that world. And so I did a cord cutting Reiki session. And there was a list of names. And I wrote a list of names, and something said, cross this person out, you need to put this person on there. And the person that I added last minute, I went, did the Reiki session. At the end of the Reiki session, the woman tells me, how do you feel? Well, and then she said, well, I had a very particular hard time cutting the cord with X. And when she said that person's name, I froze. Because it was not only the person, this guy was like, but spirit was like, put this person on there, because I haven't figured out if, about Reiki. Like, you can do laying of the hands or what have you. It's a thing that I'm still figuring out, and I'm fine with it. Okay. But she said, I had a very particularly hard time cutting cords with this person. And it was the person that last minute I put on there. And it was the person who I had let in my home. And then everything started to crumble after. So when we talk about destiny and path, people can absolutely block it. People can absolutely block it, block you from it. Because like I said, they have ways to look into your future and try to get info or whatever they get, however they get it, right? And that was the nail in the coffin for me. Because this woman has absolutely no idea what has happened in the past 8 months. None, right? And so I'm still, I'm still working and asking God to show me about certain, like Reiki is the only thing that I learned during that period that I know helped me. And so I'm working with God for God to show me, stop doing that. And that's the only presence that can tell, stop doing that. Because God will tell me. And I fully believe that. I haven't gone since, but I want that confirmation from God. And so I say that because if there's some things like, well, that really helped me, actually, take it to God. Take it to God, right? It's above your pay grade, honey. Take it to God. But I share this because it was by request. And it's so heavy right now. Like there's so many destiny blockers out in the streets. There's a lot. And it's important to share stories. It's important to share testimonies. None of this was fabricated all day long. None of it was fabricated. So if somebody want to come, don't come for me, right? But none of it was fabricated. It was all true story. And I know where I was, how I felt, what I looked like at my lowest points during this time. So I truly, truly hope this blessed somebody. I really do. And that's it. That's really it. I just wanted to share. I was obedient. I said, you know what? Let me get on there. I will share. I wasn't going to really tell this story to anybody. I was just going to keep it to myself. But I saw in the chat, there's so many people like feeling like somebody's doing something or something just ain't right. Or why my kids acting up all of a sudden? Why am I frustrated all of a sudden? Why do I feel like this? Why do I have these thoughts? Like I've never had these thoughts. Yeah, you need to start fasting and praying and giving. And stuff will be shown to you. And do not ignore your dreams, because there are things that have come up in my dreams that have given me so much insight. Right? You can't ask God to remove or pray on things to be removed from your life without the knowledge of what it is. Right? So again, I hope this blessed somebody. Leave a comment, share it with someone else who you've had conversations about this topic with, and let me know, how you have overcome, because I think that's the most important parts of it. Because I got a couple of questions like, well, how do you fight it? How do you, and fasting, praying, and giving, right? And you have to sacrifice. So like I said, I bought all them cards, bought all this stuff. A box, a bag, another bag, another one. I was at the trash probably 4 or 5 times. Another one throughout. I had an altar. I threw the table out. The table is gone. Like I didn't keep nothing. I didn't keep Nathan. Sacrifice it to the trash, right? You have to give it up. You can't keep it in your house. Well, maybe I'll use it later. Babe, okay. You keep playing. Because until you end up in an ER room and everybody looking at you like she's lying, and I'm talking about excruciating pain, and this is another thing to point out, because I heard a man of God speak about the nervous system. I actually ended up with nerve damage in my leg that nobody could detect. So the pain that actually was caused by nerve damage that traveled all the way down the leg. One thing that I've learned since then is that the enemy has is very skillful at the nervous system. It's a lot. So this is my video. I hope it helps somebody, and share it, comment, keep it, download it. You know what I mean? Because it has something in it for somebody. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.